It's time for Talkin Tauntauns, your Star Wars source at AIPTcomics.com.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Talkin Tauntauns. I am Jim Lahane, and with me, as always, with her, what kind of animal
mammoth.
is that?
This is a mammoth.
It is a mammoth.
Mm-hmm.
With her mammoth pillow is Nicole Herview.
Hi, it's me. It's a squishmallow, but same thing.
And with us is no one. It's
no
just
one.
us today.
With us is the mammoth.
the squishy mammoth.
Yeah. For anyone who's interested in travel and mainly Disney Parks content, check out Mammoth Club, which is why I bought the mammoth squishmallow. I'm obsessed. I get alerts when they post anything on YouTube, and I watch it immediately. They're great. That's all. That's the plug for the day. But that's why I have a mammoth.
That's the plug. We don't get any money from anyone, so it's this is free advertising. But it's
listen,
all free advertising.
If Molly or Alan or Max want to come on the podcast, you're welcome. They have a podcast as well, but I'd lose my mind.
I don't know who any of those people are.
Those are the three people who run Mammoth Club.
Oh, okay.
And they're great. They do a lot of the Disney Parks knowledge I share is from Molly. Like, it's just, she gave it to me and I give it to y'all. That's kind of what it is.
Oh,
But,
I did the Mice Chat podcast, but then they stopped.
Yeah.
And so I don't have a good Disney Parks podcast to listen to.
Well, it's Disney Parks YouTube stuff, but they also, like, the last video they put up was them, like, doing, like, a day in New York. And it was just, like, a travel thing. But I would say 70% of their content is Disney Parks. Molly and Alan are married, and they live in Florida, and then Max lives in California, so they're bi-coastal. And so they do content in both parks, and they want to go worldwide, I think, soon. But yeah, they do Universal as well. They did Medieval Times. They just a lot of fun stuff that me and my boyfriend watch and then go, we're going to do that. And then we, make plans to do those things. But they're great. I think Molly is not a Star Wars fan. She loves Galaxy's Edge, so she could talk about that forever. But the guys are big stuff, so we could always listen. This is an open invitation. They'll never hear this. But if anyone knows anybody, I would kind of fangirl a little bit. So, but anyway, that's why I have a mammoth. That's what the point of this was.
All right. Well, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm tired. I spent a weekend in Philly. The weekend before that, I had COVID. So I'm doing great.
That's, at least
I'm tired.
Feeling better, but tired.
I am feeling better. I'm trying to take it as easy as possible because I know, like, even after you have it, and this is my second time with it, so I'm, like, kind of familiar with what's about to happen. You're, like, not supposed to exercise for 6 weeks. Like, that's how bad your, like, stamina could be, that you're not supposed to push it for a while. And I went to 2 concerts in a row this weekend. Well, one was a concert and one was an emo night, so whatever. But I danced a lot, and 2 nights in a row. And when I tell you I'm still tired, it's Tuesday night. I'm still tired. It was great, but my God.
You could also just be old.
I'm also old. That is true. I've been old.
I have that.
Both.
I have
Yeah.
old.
I have old. Yes.
So we went to...
How are you?
Good. We went to New York City.
Oh yeah.
The previous weekend, and I got all the yum yums that will probably kill you in the short term.
Oh, yeah.
Went to Junior's and got a slice of strawberry cheesecake that comes on top of a milkshake.
Yes, this is correct.
Yes, and then right across from our hotel, literally, I could hit it with a rock from our hotel, was the Hershey store, where you can you can build your own peanut butter cup, and it is a 1 pound peanut butter cup that you pick what mix-ins go in it, and they put a topping on it, and then they put, like, it's literally inside a peanut butter cup shell, and then they put a peanut butter cup shell top on it, and the entire thing is edible.
I hope so.
but it was absolutely fantastic. It was all I hoped and dreamed of, and even
That's
more.
amazing. Good for you. That's great.
And then I went to the Disney store and I was disappointed.
It's the only one, and it's not great.
No, it's not great.
Yeah. No, I just save it. I just save it all for World of Disney, man. I go ham. But I recently watched a video of like the last. It's not there anymore. It closed in the whole, thing. I can't even speak his name anymore. The guy who closed all of the stores. I saw like the last one that was like the 90s old school theme, like the original Disney store.
Okay, yeah.
I remember like
I know
what they looked like.
Yep.
Oh my God. I almost cried just like watching video of it. Like, cause that's my childhood, bro. The toy tower, the plushie tower. Are you kidding me?
Plus those were so much nicer than the redesigned ones because they were more focused on the fun of Disney, not the selling of merchandise.
Correct. It felt like an attraction in and of itself, not a store.
Yes, and
like
then
the Warner Brothers store was like that as well. There was a Warner Brothers store in the mall by me when I was a kid. It closed way before the Disney stores rethemed and everything, but like you would walk in and there were gremlins coming out of the ceiling. Like it was so cool. Like I was terrified of them. I walked through every time to get to the like they had a big Looney Tunes spaceship, like Marvin the Martian spaceship in the middle of the store that you could play in. Awesome. That doesn't exist anymore. You know what I mean? Like they probably got 1,000,001 kids sick, honestly, but those stores were so much fun.
Well, growing up, I used to go to Fifth Avenue, and the WB store on Fifth Avenue was fantastic. The Disney store on Fifth was great. FAO Schwartz was absolutely huge. We were down there, and I'm like, wait, there's I thought FAO Schwartz closed. There's an FAO Schwartz in Rockefeller Center.
Mm-hmm.
It is the size of my pocket.
It's tiny.
They do have a couple of interesting, like, interactive things that you wouldn't find at other stores. I think that's kind of what they're going for because they're clearly not a ginormous store. But it's one of those, like, this used to be better.
Did you have Zany Brainy?
Sounds familiar, but I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, it was a store full of, like, exactly what it sounds like. It was toys that are, like, if you use something similar to, like, a Learning Express or something like that, it was, from what I remember, it was like that. But it was just like, it was so cool. I love that store. It's a really good toy store. But it all had like a little bit of a learning element to it. At least mine did. I loved it. I love Zany Brainy. I'm gonna cry. How'd we get here?
I'm sorry.
A Disney store.
We're also,
I got there.
We're also planning our Disney trip.
Yes, right.
We are taking your advice, and we're gonna rent DVC points.
Yes.
Because based on we're gonna do the marathon, and so nothing is released for the marathon weekend yet because it is a year away, and apparently once you cross over that imaginary boundary from December into January, nothing exists in Disney World or Disney.
Correct.
Disney ethos.
Yeah.
And so, like, we can't find ticket prices, can't find hotels, you can't find anything. Even DVC, you actually can't rent.
They say 11 months out.
Well, it's not. They just say it is. Like, I emailed Dave's, which is the company you recommended, and they're like, yeah, you can't do it till 11 months out. Like, we'll get you, like, set up on February 5th. Because that's, like, 11 months to the day of when we're going to be down there. And so,
they're really good. Like, I love working with them. My family's currently working with them to book for our trip in October. Well, it's September, October. And the amount of points we need to book the room we want, they don't have. So we're waiting.
Oh.
They're like, we don't have one member who's, like, looking to sell that many points yet. So you're on a waiting list. And we were like, okay. Because my family needs a 2-bedroom unit, and we need it for like 7 days.
Oh, wow.
Nobody's got that many points to sell to us, so we'll figure it out. But right now we're waiting a little bit.
Yeah,
my life.
Yeah, we're looking for a boardwalk view at the boardwalk.
Nice. Okay, lovely.
So that's extremely limited from what they said.
Yeah, it is.
So we are basically the whole reason we don't need a preferred view, but with my daughter's handicap, the other options are a lot of walking in the boardwalk,
Yes.
and so we are hoping the boardwalk view would limit the walking. Is really the entire point of it.
Yeah, you can also request, like, you could call Disney and explain that. So, here's the thing. David's doesn't book your room. Disney does. They put in, like, it's the same way, like, if you went through Disney and you bought a room, right? You booked a room. You could then put in room requests for, like, where you want it to be. Like, obviously, you can't upgrade your view or whatever unless you pay for it. But, like, if you wanted to be, say, close to the lobby, you could call Disney or message someone and explain that, and they put in that room request for you. Same with, like, if you want an early check-in and stuff. You could still do that through, like, with David's.
With the boardwalk view is a specific category.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I'm just saying, like, even if you didn't get that, like, if they were like, we don't have enough, you can't get that view, you could still call Disney and get close to the lobby or whatever you needed to do. You know what I mean? Like, that'll guarantee it, but you can still, there are still ways to get it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, we know. That's the plan. It was just one of those, let's hedge our bets. Yeah, if you could pay for it.
And no, I totally hear you. Yeah. I just wanted to make sure you knew that, like, that wasn't your only option. Like, you didn't necessarily have to do the upcharge to, like, get a more, like, accessible situation.
True.
But,
all right.
But it is the best way, probably.
It is.
That's where we're trying to stay at Beach Club, so I love that area. That resort area is fantastic.
If we weren't going in January, I probably would shoot for Beach Club because of the water park. But the weather in January is
incredible. Yeah, you're not going to get in the pool in January.
Well, it's like when we did the marathon in 2020. It was 70 degrees at 2 a.m. And it was the hottest Disney marathon on record. Like, they cut the reason we're doing it again is because they cut my track short. They cut my track short by 2 hours because people were fainting on the run, and so
oh my gosh,
they literally, like, people aren't used to running in like 85-degree heat.
Yeah.
When they're expecting January temperatures, and so it was one of those. They cut 2 miles off of my course. My wife was much faster than me, and she had already passed the point by the cutoff. Oh no, she runs Ironmans. I'm not even, like, it's one of those like oh yeah, she's such a better athlete. No, she really is. Like,
good for her.
Me and her aren't even in. It's not that we're not in the same class. It's we're not even in the same building. Like,
yeah, she's in a different arena altogether.
Yeah.
No, that'll be good, though, to, like, get another crack at it, because that does stink. I mean, you never know, though, because, like, even in November, when I went in November with my mom, we weren't getting in that pool. It was so cold.
Well, that's it.
And I had been there in November before, and it was never that cold. It was like 80 degrees.
That's it. It fluctuated. Like, it snowed in January when we were there, and then you have this 80-degree weather. It is like, it is 100% hit or miss. I don't want to spend the money to stay at Beach Club where I know I want to use that little water park that they have when I don't know if I'll be guaranteed to use it. Like, I would.
Yeah, that's fair. That sand bottom pool, bro. That thing is awesome. That is my favorite.
So, but Star Wars.
But Star Wars.
Your tauntaun will freeze before you reach the first marker. Then I'll see you in hell.
Hello, what have we here?
So we got a couple of items of news today. Disney has released their slate of upcoming movies, at least the movies that they have scheduled for the next 5 years.
God bless.
Or at least some of the movies. They have movies listed out for the next 5 years. And once you get past 2024, almost all the movies have the word untitled in them. Which seems like, I guess, maybe that's Untitled Disney. It doesn't even have, like, a number, so I guess they're going to get confused if you have, like...
Yeah.
I don't know which one I'm seeing in the series.
Yeah, the Untitled series it's lengthy.
It is. There's quite a bit. But in these Untitled series, we have 2 Untitled Star Wars movies.
Yes, indeed we do.
And we've all heard this before. That they have Star Wars movies planned for release, and so they still have Star Wars movies planned for release. So we'll see if they stay, because we had Rogue One was supposed to come out.
Rogue Squadron.
What was that?
Rogue Squadron.
Well, yeah, you're right. Rogue Squadron was it was supposed to come out in either 2023 or 2022. I don't remember.
I feel like it was 23, but I don't know. But it's not happening. So
yeah, it's
gone from my brain.
It is. Although last I heard, she said she's still working on it, which was recent.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
That's true.
But we got 2 movies, Untitled, for 2025 and 2027, both December releases. So they pulled back from those May releases real quick.
Yeah, for real.
Next bit of news is my new favorite sock comedy, Rock'em Socks, has released Tauntaun socks.
Yay, rep.
Mine are in the mail.
I love that for you. Mine are not yet, but they will be.
Although they are what's it called, all over, and so it's basically just a print of a tauntaun that's like kind of, they got a bunch of them all over the socks and scattered. I like the socks that have the giant like faces, so I want a giant tauntaun face on one. I'm hoping that they'll do that, or maybe even make the entire sock a tauntaun.
Ooh, that'd be cute. I do like an all-over print just because, like, of the way socks fit me. I don't know. It's just, like, they always... And also just, like, if it's just a big freaking face, like, you're not gonna see it. Like, just
those are
with
shorts.
The way
That's short weather.
Yeah, I don't... That's not a look for me. Tall socks and shorts, that ain't it. But God bless, but it ain't me. So...
When you hit 40...
That's cute.
You stop giving any Fs, and so...
Oh, I still don't give any Fs. It's just, I just don't like it for me. You know? It's a cool look. It's very cute. I have a lot of friends who would pull it off, but she ain't me.
I don't know if I pull it off. I just do it.
That's also fair. That is also fair.
So, and our last piece of news, we got a trailer.
We did.
For... something. Book of Boba Fett 2, Season 2?
Yeah. It's basically that. Yeah. No, obviously it's Mandalorian Season 3. I'm not going to play games. Yeah, it looks great. It looks so good. There's a lot of shots in this trailer that impressed me, like back to back to back. And everyone like made the same joke, right? Everyone saw Order 66 and was like, okay, we're doing this again. And I was like, of course we're doing this again. How did Grogu make it out? I need to know. We all need to know that. Guess who hasn't had real, like, character development? Like, a little bit, but not really. Grogu. You want to know why? The little boy can't talk. Okay? But guess what? Flashbacks for him will be, like, really interesting because he's got personalities. There's something there. There's characterization there, but there's not a lot for us to go on, right? We kind of just like, he's a baby. Like, that's really it. But what the heck happened? This is one of those times where I'm like, no, I need to see it again. I need to see Order 66 again.
Also, the only time we've gotten any backstory on Grogu was through another Force user. I think specifically Ahsoka. Yeah. Like, we didn't get anything.
That's how we know his name.
Yeah. And so I'm assuming this is going to be the same thing. We're going to have a Force user of some variety, maybe Ahsoka, maybe somebody else, is relaying this vision.
The story.
To the Mando, because Mando is obviously not Force sensitive, and we've never seen inside Grogu's head except through a proxy.
Or it could just be a cold open for us. Who knows? Who knows what it'll be?
So I wondered if it was even Order 66, but then when you look at it in the trailer, it's got a fuzzy halo around it. And so that's what it makes me think it is a flashback, like a dream kind of thing.
Yeah, and if there were that many lightsabers in, like, current day of this show, like, that would be a hell of a story. You know what I mean? Like, that's a lot of lightsabers for just Luke. You know? Unless it's, like, him starting to build his little school, but, like, it just looked like Jedi Masters, and
It looks like the Jedi Temple. I had to go back to it to be. It does look. I'm pretty sure you're right. I think it's Order 66. Is they're holding up against somebody cutting through a door with a lightsaber.
I wonder who that is. Yeah, it looks good, but there's like even just like the Mandalorians like dropping from a ship, really cool shot. There's just a bunch of stuff. The armor being the armor, you know.
The burned out husk of Mandalore.
Yeah, I loved that. Really liked that. There's a lot. There's a lot to look forward to, and it's like I don't know exactly what this season is about, and I'm kind of into it. You know what I mean? Like, if we didn't have that bit of Book of Boba Fett, that was like, someone made the joke, if you skip Boba Fett and are just watching The Mandalorian, it's like somehow Grogu returned, and it's like the meme of Poe, and I laughed very hard. It's like, it kind of stinks that entire very major storyline and conflict at the end of, season 2 is resolved in a different show. That is really annoying. Like, I get that. But I'm kind of excited because now it's not a whole season of let's reunite them. It's like, okay, now what?
It's not even an episode of let's reunite them.
I'm kind of excited to have almost a blank slate. Like, we know certain things are going to happen. Obviously, he's going back to Mandalore to, quote unquote, be forgiven for his transgressions. Whatever that means. We're going to go down the path of Mando kind of going and doing that, maybe working with the Darksaber a little bit more, like whatever he's got to do, and Grogu leaning into his Force powers. Dope. That's all I know. And I'm okay with that. Like, everything else is like, it surprised me, please, you know? So
I feel like the animation, at least in the trailer, because you never know, the animation looks better, or at least the not animation, the effects, the visual quality of the show looks better than it has in the previous 2 seasons. And I feel like obviously the first season was there. We spent a whole boatload of money building the not the view,
volume.
The what?
The volume.
The volume, yes. I thought you said polygon. Like, no, that's not it either.
That's not what I said at all. I said the volume.
Yeah, I'm deaf. Get over it.
It's okay. Oh, yeah, you're right. Sorry, man. You're right.
So they spent a whole bunch of money on the volume, and you kind of limit any further development. Well, you're 3 seasons in now. You have one of your major top tier shows on Disney Plus. I think this was the top viewed trailer of Disney Plus ever, is what I heard.
Fair enough.
And so you have the money now to put into this show. And so, like, the special effects looks fantastic. We don't know where it's going with the story. I'm interested to see what they do. I'm hoping they do switch it up from the guest of the week, which is not my favorite storytelling strategy, but we'll see. I'm in. I don't like the bad guy that was at the end of the trailer. It looks kind of like a cheap Star Trek bad guy. Like somebody.
It reminded me of the goblins from the Hobbit movies, not the Lord of the Rings movies, the Hobbit movies. There's these really ugly freaking goblins in the first Hobbit movie, and it looked like that to me. I was like, ooh. Looks
like a Gorn. At first glance, to anybody who knows that from Star Trek, obviously it's not. It's like a Chewbacca and a Gorn had a baby.
It's ugly as sin, which I think is the point. But I don't know. I need to know what the heck it is before I get all excited.
Yep, and we also had theoretically Babu Frick.
Yeah. Ooh, excuse me. Yes, and Salacious Crumb.
Or at least the species of Salacious Crumb. But we've had many
of them. I mean.
But he's all, I believe the one this time, at least in the trailer, is all computer generated, because the other ones were definitely puppets. This one's up in a tree and moving around a lot.
This ain't a puppet.
Yeah. So, but Babu Frick, at least in the trailer, it just says Anzelin cheering So I don't know if it is Babu Frick or just a
we'll see.
Another of his species.
Sure.
All right. Well, that's all I got. I think we can talk about our headline attraction.
What is this menagerie of imagination?
So we had wanted to talk about this for a little while. It came out not too long ago. Only they announced it at Celebration. It was Light and Magic, the story behind basically all the special effects of the Star Wars and then other movies. And so we just went over the first 3 episodes for today. Gang of outsiders on the bucking bronco, and just think about it.
Yeah.
And the one thing that stands out the most about these episodes is they feel like they're 12 hours long each.
They are lengthy. I have had a hard time getting through them, like more than one at a time.
Yes.
Because my ADHD is like absolutely not. I think we're at the point where there's going to be enough going on that I understand that I'll be able to like clock in a little bit more. But that first episode was painful for me. I was like, all right, you're building a thing. Okay, I get it. None of you know what you're doing. You're all frat boys. Shut up. Like, I was just so irritated the whole time. And then the second one got better. And then I really liked the second one, actually. And then the third one, just think about it, had some of the best moments and some of the best storylines, but then there was also stuff that I was like, okay, shut up. Like, I'm good. Like, I don't know.
So
there's even drama. It's interesting. There's like drama.
Well, for anyone who hasn't seen it yet, I'll kind of give you a brief run over. Obviously, it's the behind the scenes, so it's not like we're spoiling anything.
No.
The first episode is basically the formation of ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, for Star Wars. And it kind of gets into the development of Star Wars itself a little bit. Then the second episode jumps back in time to basically George Lucas's involvement. Like, the first episode wasn't really about George Lucas at all. The second episode was almost entirely about George Lucas and his involvement until it caught up to the first episode, and then it kind of went on through the entire of the original Star Wars. And then the third episode was all about Empire, which I feel like I've heard about the backstory of Star Wars so much. There's almost nothing in those 2 episodes that surprised me or I didn't know about. The third episode...
I was learning a lot. The
third episode blew my mind. I'm like...
It was awesome.
There is so much in the third episode I didn't know anything about, especially because the way they had set it up in the third episode... I'm going to talk about the third one because this is the one that like I got like, whoa. They set up that they invited specific people. Like, literally, they were laying it out. They invited specific people from the first Star Wars to go move up to a new headquarters from Van Nuys up to Marin County, which is kind of where Skywalker Ranch ends up. Not yet in the context of the show as we are at, but where it ends up eventually.
That's where they end up, yeah.
Yeah, and so he invites specific people that worked on the movie. He's anybody who he felt basically earned their role got invited up. Well, in the first 2 episodes...
go ahead.
Oh, in the first 2 episodes, like, it's all about... now his name's escaping me.
John? Dykstra?
Dykstra, that's it. I could.
Is his name John? It's Dykstra.
It's definitely Dykstra. I think it is John. But
that's a safe bet, isn't it?
Yeah, but like that is a safe bet.
I'm looking it up.
But like the first 2 episodes focused on what he did, how he basically was like second in charge of everything. Just below George Lucas, like he was in charge of all the special effects.
It's John.
And then the third episode goes, he wasn't invited by George to go up to
He worked
Marin.
on Battlestar Galactica after that and a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, he just did the first Star Wars movie and then was pretty much like given the boot.
Yeah, because like everyone after the first Star Wars movie, George was writing Empire. So nobody at ILM, nobody even knew if ILM was a thing.
No.
And so they all went their separate ways. But then everyone's like, but I like my group of friends here. Let's keep them together. And then he didn't invite Dykstra. And it's like one of those like, wait, what? Like, I didn't know this.
Yeah, wild. Yeah, because I guess the two of them just like didn't get along. Because to back it up a little bit, there was a $2 million budget for special effects for Star Wars, which is insane. The first episode is how they spent the first $1 million. The second episode is how they spent the second $1 million. And you need to understand that after they spent the first $1 million, that's when George Lucas came back from England filming a lot of Star Wars, came back to kind of see what they had. They had 3 shots done, and he lost his ever-loving mind, which you would too. If you needed 100 and whatever shots, it's like 200 shots, 3 were done, and $1 million is gone, I'd lose my mind too. And it was Dykstra's, responsibility to get this whole thing done. And he ended up doing it. I loved this bit, by the way. And the second one starts like it backs up and talks about George like figuring out what Star Wars was going to be, catch up to, like you said, where he finds out that $1 million is gone and 3 shots are done. They bring in a woman. And I'm like, oh, thank God. Like, they hired this, like, basically receptionist secretary project manager who, with one other of the guys, I forget it was another John, put, like, a schedule, like, a shot list together. And, like, she kept the whole thing right. Like, one of them, Rose. They literally said that would have fallen apart without Rose. And then, like, she doesn't get a title, which drove me.
I know.
Bananas. The 2 women who speak in the first 3 episodes don't get titles.
She gets
because
a title.
They were like receptionists.
She gets a title when she comes back up later.
Okay, great.
It was just the first time that they showed her name that she didn't get a title.
What's happening?
No, I 100% noticed that too.
I was like, what the hell? Whatever. And listen, I just want to say this once. We don't need to harp on it. It's not a big deal, but it was my major takeaway from the first episode, okay? They kept saying how ILM came together, and this is why I don't think I was engaged with it. They were like, oh, I know a guy who does this, and I know a guy who does that. And they were just like connections, like they threw their own little networks, right?
Yes.
And I was like, that's how you get a business of 100% white men. That's how you do it, is who went to school with who knows who in the like 70s. That's how that happens. I was like, this is how you don't have like, and that's how all of these industries were built originally. Like, I'm not faulting them. It's how things were done. But it was just like, this is how you end up with all white dudes. That's how it happens. It's like, oh, I went to school with this guy and I grew up down the block from this guy. And that's how it happens. And that's why, it was a freaking mess until they started bringing in people from outside their own little circles. And, that I just found very interesting. Like I said, not faulting them. That's how it was done. Like, that's just how things happen. But I'm just saying that's why it was the way it was for so long. And why, I think Effects is still probably a boys club. I don't know that, but it probably still is. And here's why, But yeah, it was very interesting. The atmosphere that they were describing, I was like, I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. God bless the women who did. I would have been like, absolutely not. What are all these boys playing with toys? Like, get it together, dudes. And eventually they did amazing work. Some of the most groundbreaking stuff in the history of cinema. Not taking that away from them. I just found that very interesting. That they talked about this for like 20 minutes about who knew who and how.
Well,
and I was
more than 20 minutes. Like,
it was
you're
so
right.
much time.
It was the entire first episode. It's like, oh, I knew a guy who did something, and then we needed something, and he knew somebody who did something, but he never did that something, but he knew a guy who did. I'm like,
and them like lying about it, them being like, oh, what do you need? I can do it. I'm like, I couldn't do it. I'm like, oh my God, the balls. They always say, so I work in recruitment, fun fact. It's a peek behind the curtain. We always say, like, we've seen it. men will apply for jobs that they're not qualified for all the freaking time, and women won't. Like, they just won't. So that's like a thing. We're like, just apply for the job. Like, just do it. Because, like, you're qualified in these ways that, like, whatever. Anyway, different thing. That's all I was seeing. I was just seeing a bunch of dudes who were not qualified to do a job, but just knew a guy. And with all the balls in the world, lied about it. And ended up, like I said, doing a great job. So it worked out fine. But my God, it was a mess for that first episode. I was like, oh, the like shots of them like in a pool and like the slip and slide. I was like, okay, looks great. What? Like, make Star Wars. What are you doing? Like, I just didn't care about this whole, like, it was a frat house thing. I didn't care. Then we got into episode 2 where it was like, okay, this is how we actually did it. And I was like, thank you. Show me the industrial, the light, and the magic. Show it to me.
You had somebody come in and basically organize the circus. So that...
do a shot list. A shot list.
Well, like,
oh my God.
Well, it makes sense, kind of, because
they were building the stuff.
They needed to build
the machines,
and
100%.
And the 3 shots that they had were absolutely gorgeous. Like, it's
like the one with the pod getting shot out that like C-3PO and R2-D2 are in. That's one of the most iconic shots. Like, they opened the trailer with that. Like, it's a phenomenal shot.
Well, they opened the trailer with it because that was the only shot they had.
That's all they had. But it works. But it works, though.
And it apparently sold Alan Ladd, the director of Fox. And it's like okay. Like, because it's such a great shot. And it's one of those, like, you can see what's the possibilities.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it's funny because they describe it as, like, they just did it and it took, like, 5 minutes. And they're like, okay. And it's like, why didn't you just do that the whole effing time? But, like, I get it. They had to build stuff. The problem is they are talking about how they built stuff. And I was like, I don't understand a word you are saying to me. It's like, he's trying to speak to me. I know it. I don't know what you're saying, though, bro. But then you got into that second episode and, like, talking about different, you know, the ways they did different shots and how it was received and how well it started going. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. And then, like you said, that third episode hit a stride. That is incredible.
Well, the second episode, so I watched the first episode on 2 days ago, and then the last 2 yesterday, as we're recording, because I didn't have time to do it before. I had other stuff I need to catch up on. And the second episode, I'm sitting there going, this has to be over soon. And they're all, each episode's about an hour.
Yeah.
And I checked the phone, and it's been 37 minutes. And I'm like, I feel like I have watched like 6 movies. They're so, I don't know if it's because they're so dense.
They are dense. They're very packed.
That it feels like that, like that's why it's feeling so slow. But it is, the first 2 episodes, you're right, the first 2 episodes like were mind-numbingly slow.
They were.
And Lawrence Kasdan is the one who, I'm almost positive Lawrence Kasdan is the one who made these, and he's great. Mm-hmm. They're great.
Ron Howard's involved as well.
Yes.
That's why he's in it.
That's why he's in it.
He was in American Graffiti. Like, it's fine.
Well, he also directed Willow.
He did.
And Solo.
You're right. He did. I do want to say something that I think is really funny, okay? In the first 10 minutes of episode 2, I felt so validated. I've been saying for a very long time, on this podcast and elsewhere, and have gotten some flack for it, that George Lucas is a horrendous writer. He is a very bad writer. He's a great idea man. He is a great idea man.
Wasn't me.
No, it was never you. Just like, I've had so many people online disagree with me, right? It was more like TikTok stuff. No one really from like talking about the podcast, but like on TikTok. And I'm always like, he's a bad writer. He can't execute for anything. He's a great idea man. He's a great world builder. He's great at the big picture stuff. He's great at that. But he literally got his idea and he says it from reading The Hero with a Thousand Faces, right? okay, so just how do you make your generic hero? Great. So he got an idea from that. He's talking about all the things he gets ideas from or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Great. Fantastic. But then you have Ron Howard literally talking about how, like, all George Lucas talks about when he directs is feeling, atmosphere, and, like, world building. And he's like, I learned what world building was from George Lucas, which is great. That's a great compliment, right? Phenomenal. And then in the next breath, George Lucas says, I am not the best writer in the world. And I said, thank you. Thank you for being self-aware, sir.
He knows, he's always known. It's other people who think he's like, I know for a fact he is always known because he's always had people come in and touch up the scripts. Carrie Fisher touched up the prequel trilogy because she was great at touch-ups.
Yeah.
Punch-ups, I think. It's what
Punch-ups, yeah. Yeah. But they did not. I was waiting for them to mention the fact that his ex-wife, that Marcia, like, came in and fixed freaking everything in post, and they're talking about editing, and they didn't mention it. And I was like, okay.
I think they
we all know.
Well, I think they didn't talk about it because it's specifically an ILM.
It's specifically an ILM thing. I totally understand, but they were talking about editing.
They were
talking about editing
because they're the edit machine, the edit droid, or whatever it becomes.
The edit droid. Anyway, yeah, very interesting. But I just needed to point that out. That I felt very validated by them themselves, specifically George Lucas, agreeing with me. I was like, thanks, man.
The machine that does the editing that he's talking about, he needs a digital machine to edit the film. Yes. It becomes the edit droid. That's what it's like.
That's
an actual
so cool.
The name of it. But I think
that's awesome.
Two of the takeaways I get from this from the first two episodes were that George really didn't like it when other people did his ideas.
Yeah, he got mad about that chess thing, didn't he? It worked out great.
Before the chess thing, it was the ship. He's like,
oh yeah.
These like the ship that was supposed to be the Millennium Falcon was the blockade runner. Was originally the Millennium Falcon, but another movie did a similar ship, and he's like, well, I can't have that now. So they completely redesigned the ship, and then the chess thing was supposed to be people, but another movie did that, and he's like, I can't do that now.
I gotta tell you though, I do the same thing. If someone beats me to something when I'm writing, I'm like, dang it, and I gotta change it. Like it's like the worst thing I think a writer can be accused of being, or a creative person can be accused of being, is unoriginal. That is one of the worst things you could say to me, is like, this is unoriginal. I've seen this before. That hurts me more than anything, really. At least that's, I don't know. Don't try me on that. Thanks. But that's like, absolutely not. I get so bummed when people beat me to ideas. Like, for example, I'm gonna tangent real quick. I've been developing and working on a zombie apocalypse book for like 4 years. Because that's how long I take to write anything. And I was like, all right, I don't want it to be a viral infection. This is pre-COVID. I was like, it can't be a viral infection. I've seen so many viral infection zombie things, and also zombie things that don't acknowledge that there's zombie media already, That's one of my biggest pet peeves. It's like, okay, in The Walking Dead, have you never read a zombie book? Like, do you have any idea what this is? And like, I get that it's a choice to be like, no, that doesn't exist here. Okay, cool. But I was like, all right, it can't be a virus, and it has to be like zombie media exists. So I was like, all right, I landed on bacteria. And I was like, how would that happen? It spread so fast, whatever. I was working on it. And then I watched The Last of Us. And they're like, I'm going to do you one better, fungus. And I was like, damn it! Like, I lost my mind. I was like, I'm still going to do it. But I was like, dang it! Like, you did a better idea than I had, because it's scarier. Everything in that show, by the way, is, watch it. It's incredible. Terrifying. Too real, actually. But yeah, that I do the same thing. Basically, I have the same knee-jerk reaction to stuff. It's like, all right, can I still do this? Or is it done? Is it taken off the board now? So yeah, but it really bothers him. It's very clear that it really, really bothers our boy George Lucas. He's got to be original. And listen, everything he does, except, using the friggin', the hero's journey, which we all do. Like, let's be honest. But anyway, saying it that loud, that you followed the hero's journey so damn closely. Besides that, he's one of the most original storytellers known to man. Whether things work or not is a different thing, but he is original. If nothing else, that man is very imaginative. So I'd be pissed too.
So, but the great thing about the chess set, I think, like that the fact that movie, he wanted to put real people as chess pieces, and the fact that he couldn't do that brought Phil Tippett in as a stop motion animator, and like you could see like the lightning jump he goes from Star Wars to Empire. And like just like watching him, it is I can't even fathom how he does it, because he's like it's all kind of feel, and you just move little things, and then like I'm staring at the walkers move, and they don't move at a constant speed. It's not like their legs are all constantly moving at a similar speed. No, sometimes they move a little faster. Sometimes little parts move faster than other parts. Other parts will move slower. And it's like, it's natural movement.
Yeah.
And he's doing this in microscopic increments to get these natural movements that like literally like it blows my mind that he can even do this.
I want to talk about him a lot, actually. Like, all of my notes that I wrote were about him. The Tauntaun? Come on now.
Yes.
We were all happy to see that. Wasn't happy to hear about how they made it. At all.
Oh, no.
The whole unborn calf situation.
Yeah.
I was like, you did what? What with the maggot? I'm eating my dinner, Jim. This is like just before we hopped on to record. I was like, oh, I really like to watch what we're talking about until we hit record. Because it won't go away then. Like my brain doesn't have time to forget what I wanted to say. But I literally sat down to eat my dinner. I like took a break in the middle of the episode because they're long to cook my dinner so I could watch the end of the episode while I ate my dinner. And I play it, and that's the part that is playing in the middle of the episode. And I was like, what with maggots? What are we doing? What are you talking about? Like, it was so upsetting. But other than that...
Well, that's actually, to stay on that part, that's actually a common, like, paleontology and biology thing, is to clean off the animal, like the dead animals, to get the bones. And so that's like when he said that, it was common thing.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it makes total sense to me. All of that. I didn't need to see a maggot, and I really didn't love hearing about it. But fine. But go on. That's the process. It's fascinating. It is fascinating. Objectively fascinating. The design of the Tauntaun, Phil did that as well, right? Am I stupid, or did some other white boy draw and like design the Tauntaun? Because I think he was talking about drawing them. Lucas said, "I like that one, make it," and then he did. And then he was talking about how Lucas really like responds to things in 3D. Is that correct?
Yes,
Thank you.
You're right. I can't remember exactly if he was the one, but I'm almost positive he was, because he seemed to go from concept to finished. Like he was like,
that's his baby.
Phil Tippett was the entire spectrum. Like he would like,
he's the Tauntaun man.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to talk about yes, he leveled up so much between episode 1 and 2 and like absolutely killed it. And what he was doing with the walkers, him talking about the 2 walker shot that he did, where it was like I had to move 2 walkers like at the same time. Wild, insane, amazing. But what I really loved was the fact that they gave him room to talk about his mental health.
Oh, yeah.
In this documentary. I was almost crying watching this man talk about his journey and talk about how this work calmed his mind down and like saved his life. And he like makes a joke out of it, but like he's like, yeah, it kept me from killing myself. Like jokingly, but I'm like, but I believe you.
No, but it did. Like it wasn't. He said it kind of offhand,
like a half joke,
but it was clear he was not
real.
joking.
Like he's for real.
Yeah.
Like he meant that Like, he was, like you said, he's brushing it off a little bit. Like, how he laughs after he says it. But you're like, bro, I believe you. Like, and I thought it was so vulnerable and so, like, awesome for a guy of that age, because that is not, I'm not saying he's old. I'm just saying in that generation, that is not a common thing to just openly talk about. And him talking about that was so impressive to me and so beautiful. And, like, I love him. I have so much respect for this dude. And obviously what he did is incredible and his work is fantastic. But I think him opening up about its effect on him personally was like equally, if not more impactful. And I thought it was fantastic. And I'm so happy that, like, in this very long, very dense documentary, they gave him time to express that.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is it's also on Lawrence Kasdan for not cutting it.
100%.
Because,
100%.
Because it's not, like I like it say, it's not necessary for the ILM story, but it's a part of the story. It's a part of his story. It's a part of his story. And so it's one of those things, like, it does make it, like, it makes him such a more, like, you can emphasize with him so much more, because like,
yes, yeah,
especially watching him do that tauntaun thing where he's like, there were supposed to be two of us.
yeah. Like, he is, they're all impressive. They're all geniuses. It's obvious, right? He is the most impressive one to me. Like, right now, I am attached to him. If we were talking about characters in a film, I am like, he's my favorite. Like, I love him. I think he's a genius. The fact that the tauntaun is like his baby is, like, really cool. And I was thinking about getting a tauntaun tattoo anyway. But now I'm like, I really might get a tauntaun tattoo. Because now there's, like, so much more to it. Like, I can picture the dude who created that, like, almost single-handedly. And, well, obviously there's many people who go into creating something like that. But, like, it's his baby.
It's almost,
it's wild.
Like, other than the noises, it's almost entirely him. Like,
yeah, I need to go back and make sure that that's the case. But from my recollection of this thing that I just watched an hour ago, geez, it's all him. And I think that's awesome.
He also, talking about my love also, he dropped some paleontology on us.
Oh, yeah, he does. Yeah.
And I did not know this. And this was another one of those things that blew my mind, is that the AT-AT walkers, they were trying to make them, and so they found a whole bunch of reference shots. They're like, no, we don't want treads. It'll look like a tank. No matter what you do to it, it looks like a tank. We don't want wheels because that's too normal. And so they have this this design book, which had a four-legged tank. And they're like, oh, we could do that, but let's make it look like...
Who was the other guy? I'm so sorry to interrupt you, Jim. Who was the other dude who he was working on this with? I think it was another John. Like, there are two Johns. There's a Dykstra and then there's this other guy.
John...
I think.
Murin.
I think. Sorry, go on. I just want to make sure we're talking about both
also...
of them. But, yeah.
Oh, I need, like, his name. He directed, like, oh, I hate names.
Me too. I cannot do it. I'm gonna rewatch this freaking episode. I'm not kidding.
He directed I think the one guy you're talking about.
Oh, no, look.
He eventually becomes the director because he did, I think, The Rocketeer, but also like Captain America. Now I'm looking it up.
I'm trying to find him. I'm looking at the list. Wasn't Joe Johnston? Was it? Art department?
Joe Johnston, yeah, that's who
it's probably Joe Johnston.
He was the one with the glasses.
Yes. I'm looking at the entire cast of this entire show, Light and Magic.
Like, Joe Johnston was the one that had the very, like, clean-cut look to him.
Yeah. I think it's Joe Johnston. I think that's who I'm talking about, who was working on this with him.
I don't know if he was the other...
Or John Goodson, who's in the model shop.
I don't know if he was the other one who was supposed to do the AT-AT walkers. I think that's who...
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I it's one of those two gentlemen. It's really, really hard when it's all white boys who look slightly similar.
Except
they're all talking about the same stuff.
John Berg.
Was it John Berg?
John Berg was the other one who was supposed to do the AT-ATs.
Right.
And he got the flu that day. But when they're talking about the creation of the AT-ATs, he drops that it was a Baluchitherium, which was a prehistoric mammal.
That's wild.
It's basically a giant rhino. It has since been renamed Paracerathium. Is the more common name. But it looks like basically if you put a rhino on stilts.
Yeah.
And
it does.
And and that's kind of what they modeled the AT-ATs after. And it's one of those I never knew that. I like there's a lot of like behind the scenes paleontology in Star Wars. It's one of those things that I'm like just blew my mind. I was so excited. And
that's
like
so
apparently cool. he's a big dino nut, Phil Tippett. And so it's yeah. I was super excited about that. I even took a screenshot of the part. I was so excited.
That's awesome. I mean, it was a really cool. I liked them saying like we wanted it to be anthropomorphic. We wanted it to kind of be animalistic. We wanted it to have like life to it. I was like, yeah, I always thought they had little faces. You know? I'm like, yeah, right, correct. It's got a little face. Yeah, really, really interesting design note on that. I thought that was really cool. Obviously, I had no idea what that animal was, but
they showed you pictures of it too, and
yeah,
so it was one of those.
It made sense. Totally made sense. But I was like, "What? You wanted it to look like a what now?" And they showed me. I was like, I see the resemblance. I see the family resemblance.
Dropped the name of the species in the episode like it was nothing.
Yeah, he was just like, ha, information.
I'm like,
yeah,
that's
cool.
impressive.
It was awesome. It was a really good. I really liked this last one. I'm actually going to, once we hop off, watch the 4th episode because I'm really interested to see where this goes. But yeah, I really liked it. I loved the 3rd episode quite a bit. I thought there was a lot in there. The drama was tasty. I was like, wow, you're getting left behind, Dykstra. Like, sorry, buddy.
Like I said, that just blew my mind.
Really wild. I was like, go work on Battlestar Galactica, boy, you got this. Yeah, no, it was great. I really liked them bringing in new people. I liked seeing the design. The design is what really, really interests me. Obviously, the way they do like different shots and talking about like the map paintings and things and Cloud City and everything. And what's his name? It's gone from my brain. The artist
Ralph
who is
McQuarrie?
A freaking genius. Thank you. How did that name escape my brain?
Every other name escaped my brain. Apparently, I only got his.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Well, he's like legendary, so like I got that. Yeah, it was really interesting to kind of see how that was shaping up and how that went. But the design, like I'm so happy it was the Tauntaun, but it could have been anything. And the Walker. But watching them like put it to paper and then make it real, and then this is how they made it move. I was fascinated by that entire like process of, okay, let's make a thing and now let's make it real. Loved that. I thought that was like some of the most fascinating stuff I had ever seen. And I love a behind the scenes thing, dude. I do. But this is just like, that's the bread and butter. That's what I want more of. And I'm hoping, because now they're moving into like other movies and they're like, they kind of know what they're doing. Like they said a million times, within Star Wars, we had no idea what we were doing. Empire, we did. We knew exactly what we were doing.
But we had to do it
And that's
better.
when it picked up. I like that. I like when it's competent people doing their job and doing it better. And I loved the story, what's his name? Dennis Muren talked about with the having to get the Tauntaun to walk on the ice of the shot that they already had.
Oh yeah,
you know?
He's like,
and he was like, there's no way to do that. There's no way to do that. And George Lucas just said, think about it.
Just think of it. That's where the name of the episode came from.
Where the name came from. Yeah. And he said in 15 minutes he figured it out. And I thought that was, and listen, I don't give George a lot of credit usually, you know me, but that's brilliant. That is a brilliant, brilliant way to not argue with someone And especially when you don't know what you're specifically talking about, you're not the expert in these things, to be like, I hear you. Do me a favor. Think about it for like a day. Just sit on it.
I'm not taking no for an answer, but kind of, because I work the same way. I'll come up against a roadblock, and I'll get like basically I'll like, this is impossible. It's impossible. Yeah. But I can't stop thinking about it, and so like I'll keep thinking about it, and like at some point it'll click, and you go, oh wait, I could do that, and then I could do that, and then it'll like your dominoes will fall, and you're like, so it wasn't impossible. You just got to kind of think about it a different way.
Yeah, it's kind of like okay, that shouldn't be possible from everything I know, but how do I make it possible, right? And that's where innovation comes from. And yeah, of course, the first instinct is to be like, from everything I know, that's not a thing. But then just like exactly like he said, your mind just works in the background. Like, that's how I say it. But like he says, your subconscious like works on the problem. And for me, I just say it's a program running in the background. Like, it's a random example, but we were talking about something like me and a group of people over the weekend, and 2 hours later I just blurted out like a thing. I was driving home with my boyfriend and I just said it, and it was a pun. We were like trying to make puns basically, and it just came out like 3 hours later on our drive home. And he was like, I'm sorry, what? And then I had to like back up and explain everything. And he was like, oh yeah, like great. And I was like, I don't know. Like, that's how my brain works. It took 3 hours, but I got there and it was gold. And
you're the only one to hear it, and you will immortalize this in your memory.
What he did is he was driving, so he gave me his phone and he was like, text my friend. And I was like, okay. And I just did. It was just the one word. And he was like, yes, correct. Like, he's like, here you go. I can't be the only one who knows this. So yeah, that's how it works for me as well. So it was cool to hear someone so successful and like so good at what he does say that the similar thing worked. Yeah, it was really cool. Really insightful. I love where it's going. I think the back half is going to be better than the front, hopefully. I don't know how you beat that Empire episode, though. That was really, really good.
I don't know. I'm hoping I get an episode on Jurassic Park, or at least a good chunk.
I think it's coming.
At least a good chunk. They keep showing the dinosaurs, so.
I think it's in this next episode. It's up on my TV right now. In the era of the 80s blockbuster, ILM is thriving and revolution is on the horizon. I think it's the next episode. Oh, I'm not going to lie to you. Because he just said, like, if any of my friends come to say they want you to make a movie, don't say no. And Spielberg's been in it a lot.
He has.
So I have a feeling we're getting to Jurassic Park in the next episode. So that'll be cool. I don't know how much Star Wars is going to be in these next 3 episodes.
I don't know.
Though.
Episode 6 says CG finally comes into its own with Jurassic Park, paving the way for new era of innovation.
Okay. Well, cool.
I wonder, like, I assumed we'd go through episode 1, but I don't know. Or at least I assume we'd go through like to modern day, but it doesn't seem like it.
It seems like it might end there. We'll see. I guess we can watch it and then decide whether we're going to talk about it on the show or not. Like if it's Star Wars relevant enough.
We can.
But I'm going to finish it either way. Like that's happening, whether we talk about it or not. Maybe we'll like touch on it. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Okay. But I think we're all set.
Yeah, I think we're good. We have an exciting, well, not an exciting episode. We have an exciting episode coming up. But next week, we're talking about Bad Batch, right?
Yes, we have the next 3 episodes of Bad Batch. Episode 3, 4, and 5. We're going to be chatting it up next week. And then the episode after that is a super big surprise. So I'm not going to say it because...
Yep. No, let's not jinx it.
Yeah.
But, bro, I cannot wait. I not wait for this. And when it happens, I'm going to scream. Yeah.
So we had an episode long time ago before you were on where JJ announced who was coming on the next episode for an interview. Yes, correct.
And then they canceled you.
And it never happened.
So that's the rule is we don't say who's coming on the show.
I never announce guests. I never announce unless it is already recorded.
Mm-hmm.
I will never announce a guest.
Mm-hmm.
Just because things happen.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's not entirely like it's rarely on them. It's just things just don't work out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Usually they have people.
Definitely. I wish I had people.
Listen, one day I'll have people.
Oh,
That's what I'm literally actively working on getting right now is people.
All right. Well, my non-people will contact your real people.
They won't be involved in this, I'll tell you that right now. I'll be able to do this of my own volition, don't you worry.
Okay, good. Because the scheduling takes way too much effort on my part.
Already it's a lot. Jeez.
So if you want to contact us, you can email us, talkintauntauns@aiptcomics.com. You can find us on Twitter @Talkin Tauntauns. You can join our Patreon through AIPT Comics and join us on Discord. And it's actually one of our faithful listeners, Jason, sent over a link for the Tauntaun socks. I had already purchased them at that point, and he was asking if I had seen them. I said, "Oh yeah." By
the way, if you're on the Discord and you want me to see something, tag me in it because I don't check it. Like unless I'm tagged, which I'll get an alert. But I don't check the Discord. So just at me if you want me to see something. Anything. I don't care how many notifications I get. I just need the notifications. Because I forget it's there. Because, object permanence is not a thing when one has the brain I have. So I need a reminder sometimes that it's there. So if you want me to be involved or weigh in or anything like that, because I'm never there, just tag me and I will enter the chat, literally.
Well, that's why I occasionally text you I still exist.
Yeah,
just so you know that I still exist. There's no underlying message, just to keep the permanence in place.
Yeah, just every once in a while I just get a message from Jim, like just reminding me, hey, I'm breathing, I'm here. I'm your co-host, what's up? And it's usually in the form of, is this day good for you?
What are you doing this weekend? 6 months from now.
Yeah, right. I don't know, man. Why?
All right. And with that, we will see you next week.